I think we start with the Essendon coaching panel. So for those of you who haven't heard, a little earlier this afternoon, the panel was announced by the football club, and they are as follows. The President, Andrew Welsh, the Vice President, Anthony Di Pietro, the Director of Football, Ted Richards, the Chief Executive, Tim Roberts, and the EGM of People and Culture, so the Head of HR, essentially, at the Essendon Football Club, Caroline Monson. So a 5-person panel that will select the next coach. Any surprises, Matthew, that there wasn't an external person on that panel?
I would have preferred that, Sam. Yeah, there was an external person on there who has coaching experience. So I think that's the one thing that's missing in this panel, anyone that has coaching experience, which I think they ask a different sort of question. They have a different sort of thought process when you have been a coach before. Someone like, I don't know, when Jason Dunstall was on there, I know he hasn't coached before, but his experience, people like yourself, Jim, who've been at different environments, different cultures, even like a Cameron Lee. I'm just trying to think of people who have been outside of it. Yep. Yes, they haven't coached, but even if it was a Simon Goodwin type, I know he's at the Sydney Swans, but someone who's recently out of the game who could also be part of a panel.
And so, Jimmy, the interesting thing I'm quoting from the release here, this panel brings together deep expertise across leadership, governance, football and people and culture. We will also draw on subject matter experts from both within the club and outside of it to inform our assessment and decision-making. Explain that as someone that's been on one of these panels.
Well, that just read to me like we'll check character references.
Right.
I know that sounded really nice and wordy, but that sounds like, hey, I'll use Matthew Lloyd. Just ringing up, you've worked with Matthew Lloyd. How was he? Did he run this part of the program? It's just getting a bit of an understanding. It sounded nice and wordy, but it sounded like just doing background checks if you're going to go get externals in. The bit that I didn't see, and you've got it in front of you, there was a lot of discussion in the lead-up to Andrew Welsh and the Essendon people saying, the coaching process is underway, that there was going to be some criteria around who they could potentially open the door up to, which could open the door or close the door on some individuals. Was there any mention of a criteria?
Well, so I rang the Essendon Football Club on the way into the ground tonight. They said there is a criteria, but they're going to keep it private. Okay. But that criteria isn't going to rule anyone in, nor is it going to rule anyone out. And so the Essendon Football Club will speak to James Hird as part of this process. So they're going to speak to about 10 to 15 people and then wither it down from there, which, judging from what you said on this show a couple of weeks ago with GWS when you were selecting Adam Kingsley, that was about the number. Yeah. You sort of canvass about a dozen people and then whittle it down from there.
Yeah, I think we started, between about 8 and 10. A couple just immediately say, no, look, I'm happy where I am.
I'm doing this.
I'm doing this and making the calls, or they might be currently in positions. We quickly got down to about 5, which turned to 3 very quickly, and then that's where you made your decision, which 3 you're probably then down to 2, and you pick your lead pony from there.
The Essendon Football Club today is absolutely adamant that a proper process will be run, and it will be an exhaustive process, which is something that you, Matthew, and some other previous Essendon legends have all been calling out for in the media, that we want the best person for this job. It is interesting looking at that panel. It's obviously a very Essendon-heavy, Essendon-centric panel, as it should be. They are selecting the next coach of the Essendon Football Club. But the fact that we've taken this long to get to a point where they haven't told us the criteria and essentially James Hird will be spoken to, it hasn't really done anything to put out any of the flames, has it?
For who, James or Dean Solomon?
Well, I think both.
Yeah,
I think both. I mean, Dean's got some time on his side, doesn't he? He's got the time of winning games. We're not even in the first week of July yet. So he's got some time. The fact that they will speak to James Hird, I think, is interesting, and it keeps the conversation going. It keeps it kicking the can down the road. And they haven't ruled out senior coaches. So they haven't ruled out either trying to poach another one from a club, nor have they ruled out your John Longmire, your Adam Simpson type. So
that leads to probably my question to you, Lloydie. Does it need to be an Essendon person? We always hear this about all football clubs, just not an Essendon theme. Often we hear when football clubs move their coach on, we need more Hawthorn, or we need more Geelong, or we need more old Carlton or old Essendon in it. Does it feel like they need more Essendon to fill this role?
I don't think so, and I've always been consistent in that I just want it to be open where you go in with an open mind, and this panel goes in with an open mind and not anything preconceived, and that they can open themselves up to a Stephen King coming in and wowing them. And yes, interviews are one thing. It's getting the job done's another, because people have been wowed many times and the coach hasn't been that good. But no, I don't think it needs to be an Essendon person. No, Jim, in my opinion, just the best candidate for the club.
You did a great interview with Tony Jones about 3 weeks ago on 9 News, where I think, paraphrasing you, and one of your quotes was, "I do worry that if James is in the process, that it could scare a few off." Well, we now know that he will be in it. Like, they're going to talk to him. So by virtue of that, he's in the process. Yeah. I wonder what I'm just picking people out of the hat here. I wonder what your James Kellys and your Corey Enrights and your Sean Griggs are thinking right now as we go to air, that, well, I could be up against James Hird.
That's where it'll be an interesting couple of weeks, Sam, where we start to hear people go, "No, I'm out of this job.
Yeah.
I'm out of this job." So they'll get a fair feel for when they are approached by the club, Andrew Welsh and Tim Roberts, whoever does the approaching, just how genuine the process is, or whether they do feel they're just being part of something, but the club may know who they want.
James Kelly last Thursday was very strong. That
great interview.
I want to be a part of it, and he's pretty confident that he'll back himself in. Simon Goodwin was asked something similar last night on 3AW's coverage, and this is him.
Look, I'm open to any conversation that comes my way. Clearly, it might be a recency bias that, I've just left the game and obviously some time out. So, I'm not in any rush to get back in. I'm here to learn and grow and be a part of a good footy club. And, if those opportunities arise and people want to be in contact, I'm sure I'll take their call.
That was part of just to give a little bit of context, there was a question before that when we said, well, he moving to Sydney, was that to keep improving his senior coaching? And he said, yes, I am a senior coach, much in the way Ken Hinkley says, I'm a coach. Remember Ken Hinkley said that, I'm a coach, mate. So Simon Goodwin sees himself like that. James Kelly has been pretty open and said, look, I'll take anybody on head-to-head.
I just wonder if you're an Essendon supporter, if you're an Essendon member, and you get sent that email today, and the panel is Welsh, DiPietro, Richards, Roberts, and Monson. What are you thinking? Like, because I can't answer that question.
What do you mean?
Person.
What are you thinking? Like, as in?
Well, is that like? Am I blown away? Am I super impressed? Do I have the absolute faith that those 5 people will be able to select my next coach?
But it's up to. It's the other way around. It's do I have the ability and faith to blow them away? It's still a privileged position to be an AFL senior coach.
No, it is. But
Sam's question.
My point was about the members. My point is it's arguably the most strained and most intense selection of an Essendon coach in their last 50 years.
And they've decided, you can see that, to go internal. So they have decided that we're going to handle this ourselves.
Yeah.
That we don't want any outside person involved here. This is what we are going to do. So I know you said it's Essendon, but I don't see. I see Welsh as Essendon.
Yep.
The others are very new. I'm not sure how long. The female.
Caroline Monson.
I'm not sure how long she's been at the club for.
Yeah, I was just having a look. She was at Development Victoria, where she was the head of people and culture as well.
Oh, and Tim has been on the board a long time. Tim Roberts.
Yeah, she's been there since September 2022. She's been the head of the EGM of People and Culture.
Peter's up first. Good evening, Peter.
Oh, good evening, guys, and great discussion. Thanks for taking the call. It was on this point about potential coaches dropping off if they find out, or now that they know, that James Hird is going to be part of the process. So the first point that I'd like to make is, as long as, if Essendon is just running the process for the sake of satisfying fans, and it's a predetermined, solution or choice, then it defeats the purpose, and doesn't matter who's standing up against him, he's always going to win. But should it be an equitable process run for what it's designed to do? And I am a prospective coach, young or otherwise. I would want to be given that. I would take on that opportunity to prove how what I'm bringing is so unique, so differentiated, that I am the right man for the job. And my perspective is that anyone that drops out of that race, even for other clubs, there is some sort of admission, subconscious albeit, there is some weakness there. Because, in my honest opinion, if you are good enough and you are better than Hird, come and tell me about it. Come and show me. And I think Clarkson was a great example of a time when Hawthorn was making choices. everyone was talking about Gary Ayres and prospectively Lee Matthews coming back and
Rodney
Rodney, all the greats were available. Wallace was available, except asked to go elsewhere.
Yep. Thanks for the call, Peter. We've spoken about that. If you're confident enough in your own football beliefs, go up and have a crack if you think it is a fair process.
So when people have pulled out in the past, is that often because they know they aren't going to get the job and it protects them a little bit for the next job, you think?
There's a bit of that going on, which I've raised this point too. I hate how if someone's gone for a couple of coaching jobs and they don't get it, we go, nah, they can be no good.
Do you know what? I was just thinking that because the 2 minutes ago, just as we were coming back from the break, Daniel G. Siracusa ran in front of us. Of course, a senior lieutenant to Sam Mitchell right now, but he came second, I think, in 2 different jobs and may have even been in the process for a third. And there is a little bit of that in the industry, isn't there?
So when first spoke to Adam Kingsley, he's like, nah, mate, well, like I don't want to be another sort of dummy in a process.
Yep.
It's like
the stalking horse. Yep.
Yeah, we wouldn't have bothered if we didn't rate you. So you've got to actually take into account there might have been the wrong coach for that group. That panel might have got it wrong. And so the second time they went up, why can't coaches improve and realise, actually, hang on, I went through the process and I've realised I've got a flaw somewhere, or I need room for improvement maybe in knowing list management or strategy or coaching a younger side. Maybe the list didn't fit what that coach was trying to implement. So I hate how coaches go, if I go for too many, everyone puts a line through me.
By the same token, why is it as an industry that it feels like no one's going to touch Simon Goodwin this time round? Is that a fair comment?
It doesn't feel like he's going to be this round, the vacancies.
And so I'm not saying I disagree with that, but I'm simply asking the question, why is that? In different sports, in different
that's a good point.
Different sporting cultures, say the NFL or even the English Premier League, someone gets sacked 6 weeks later, they're coaching another team. They don't seem to take sackings as, you're no good. I mean, Simon Goodwin, did he struggle as coach of the Melbourne Football Club for the last 3 years? Statistics would say that he did. He also had a pretty good record of getting teams to finals, and he also won a flag, which historically, as we've seen with lots of different coaches, stats would say is very difficult to do. He's now gone to another club with a completely different culture, seems to be doing good things under Dean Cox, working on the boundary line in a different kind of role. Why isn't he towards the top of the list of people that are asking questions?
Is it because of the lack of success for second-time coaches? Like we've just had Michael Voss go through it. I know Voss isn't a premiership coach like Simon Goodwin. We've had Ross Lyon, who's gone back, isn't looking like it's going that well for him.
Yeah, both those guys had significant breaks in between, didn't they?
Yeah, and mind you, people raving about Simon Goodwin, how good he's been at Sydney, but I think Carlton look like they'll go a first-time coach. I don't know what Essendon are going to do, but to me, it will potentially be a Solomon or a Hurd. I'm really interested to see whether it is the process where it is open. I want it to be. That's how desperate I am for it to be open and may the best man win.
You're not convinced it is?
I don't know. Not sure. Yeah.
You're not convinced?
I'm not. I don't know, Sam. I'm not sure.
I nearly got it out of you.
And then Tasmania want that scene. Yeah.